While I was recording my 1 p.m. segment, Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, was appearing on Infowars with Alex Jones. He was wearing what many have described as a gimp mask and gloves. In this interview, he praised Hitler and the Nazis. He said he loved them, didn't think they should be called evil, but he also loves Jewish people. Many people are saying this was a mental breakdown on air. I got to be honest. I'm not too keen on talking about this stuff, considering we had him on the show on Monday and he stormed off and all that stuff. But this is the news, and I find myself on the periphery of it, so it is what it is. In my 1 p.m. segment, I said I thought that Ye was going down this track not too dissimilar from Trump, where, you know, Trump had said some things, the media reported on it, said Trump was calling one group all one thing. You get the point. I don't want to rehash it immediately. And I was like, this is the troll campaign to get maximum press, get constant negative press. And then he went on Alex Jones's show and even made Alex Jones seemingly uncomfortable. I think Alex Jones is just there for the ride. He's going along with it. And many are saying he looks like the rational person in the room, which is shocking. We also aren't 100% sure, I suppose, that Ye is actually there in the mask, but presumably it is him. He's been known to wear this mask before. Surprise, surprise, it's a Balenciaga mask. So what is going on? Balenciaga, as you know, recently deleted a whole bunch of their social media because they produced these ads that were, let's just say, exploitative of children, or on the border of how you want to describe it, with court documents scattered about, children holding stuffed animals wearing bondage gear. Balenciaga has done this before. In fact, this is the weirdest thing. During the live show, when Alex Jones has Ye and Fuentes sitting at this desk, again, maybe it's not, maybe it's a Ye impersonator, I don't know. They actually showed a commercial about how Ye opened up a show for Balenciaga. You have Kim Kardashian and Ye both addressing it, so we'll get into exactly what they said. But this just, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it is a mental breakdown, and I'm just wrong. We put out the trailer for the behind the scenes with Ye that we said we were going to. And the video is up on timcast.com. And I think it's important. You know, of course, when Ye goes on Alex's show and says these things, and I'm going to show you the clips of what he said. Obviously, I'm like, man, do we just want to get away from this and not be involved in it? And I'm like, there's pros and there's cons. We're getting attacked left and right. It is what it is. I am who I am. And I figure, just talk about it. Show what he said and what he was like when he was here and how the show went down. And we have it on the website. It was an expensive thing to set up to do this show. He walked out. And now I've got messages coming in from all directions. It's not fun, to be completely honest, to be wrapped up, or I should say in the periphery of the story. But I have many people saying this could have been your interview. I'm like, I don't want that interview. I mean, this is crazy. However, I actually think it is good the interview happened. I think it is good that Alex Jones found a way to have these people on to show their views. Alex Jones outright rejecting them, saying he doesn't agree. He doesn't like Nazis, and Ye's going off saying he does. Ye wants to run for president. We shouldn't hide or whitewash what his views are. If some people like what he's saying, fine. Then it's good they get to hear it, right? And I think what's happening now is across the media, they're reporting on exactly what he's saying. So fair. That could have been on Timcast. The only reason it couldn't is because we do a conversation show, not an interview. Surprisingly, though, Alex Jones is pushing back on Ye way more than I did, and Ye is totally fine with it. I'm getting pushback from the left saying we shouldn't have hosted him in the first place. And to them, I say, look how free speech has exposed what they believe. Isn't that good for you? Can't you now say, hey, guys, look at what they're saying? This has been a crazy week, an absolutely crazy week. So let me show for you what's going on with the latest news story. And it is what it is, I suppose. Before we get started, I want to shout out. We have the behind the scenes episode of The Green Room. This is a documentary style video, 23 minutes long, where we show you the traveling on the plane with them. And then there's some conversation with Ye about how he wants to be president, what he thinks and things like that. And it shows his smiles and his demeanor and what happened beforehand. So all I can do is this. Go to timcast.com. If you want to support us, you want to watch it, by all means. If you don't like it, it is what it is. A lot of people this is tumultuous to say the least. From the people who don't like what we're doing to the people who do like what we're doing, to the people who don't like what Ye is doing, we made content. It costs money. We made it available. It's on the website. Let me just tell you exactly what I think. And you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like anything I say, but let's talk about it. TMZ reports Kanye West mental breakdown on air, praises Hitler and Nazis. Now I want to pause. Why is it a mental breakdown? Is it a mental breakdown because he's saying deeply offensive things? Is it a mental breakdown because he's saying things that normal people don't typically say? I should say the average person doesn't typically say. Maybe it is a mental breakdown. But I want to just make sure we understand this. Are you saying that Ye's views are a result of an imbalance or disorder in his mind and that he doesn't actually believe these things? Because I was saying at 1 p.m. and you know what? Maybe I should retract that statement that I thought he could actually win. I mean, that's to be seen now because this really is off the rails. But when I met the man and talked to him, as I pointed out in the Day with Ye video we have, he's coherent and of sound mind in this video where he's talking about what's going on. He's chill, he's calm, he's smiling, he's asking questions. Everybody is chill. In the one portion of the video where we're talking, we're being a little quiet because we're in an echoey room. But he didn't seem out of it. He talked about having Luke come in and he's like, you got to get rid of this stuff. Like, you got to have him do all the food. Because Luke was talking about getting the sugars, getting rid of the sugars, getting healthier stuff. Seemed normal. Here's my point. Don't immediately chalk up his beliefs to just having a mental breakdown. Clearly, the dude is doing something. Now, some people are saying he's bipolar. That would explain this kind of behavior. Perhaps. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm saying just because someone holds certain political opinions doesn't mean they're crazy. So this is the flack I get from the left. I said to Ye on the show that they were unfair to you. He said the press said this or whatever. And I said they were unfair to you. So who's they? I'm like, corporate press. Like, you were just referring to the press. But he views it differently, right? I don't want to keep rehashing it, I guess. Let me show you exactly what he was saying. We'll talk about it. They say, Kanye West was in the middle of a serious mental breakdown live on air with Alex Jones, spewing hate against Jewish people and praising Hitler and Nazis, while I'll also add simultaneously saying he loved Jewish people. West has been live for more than an hour on Infowars. He's clearly erratic, at times nonsensical, hateful, and dressed with his face fully covered by a mask. During the majority of his ramblings, Ye said that I'm not going to quote him on this one. He said Ye thinks he sees good things about Hitler. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, and then he adds that he believes that was Hitler. He then claims that Hitler invented highways and microphones. That's not true. He then goes on to say that they've changed history, among other things. Now, I want to make sure you understand the point I was trying to make earlier. Just because you believe things that are seemingly crazy doesn't mean that you are crazy, right? People who believe the earth is flat aren't crazy because they absorbed information that is wrong. Humans believe tons of wrong things. Certainly, I get things wrong all the time. Being wrong doesn't mean the same thing as crazy. Often what they'll do is they'll say, if you hold a view that is outside the norm, you must be crazy, as if sane is just agreeing with the narrative. No, they call everybody conspiracy theorists. They call everybody crazy. That being said, Ye, I think, is absolutely wrong in his views, and I feel like he's uninterested in understanding. But I'm going to play the nuance game, and it's going to be stupid because no matter what, people get mad at you, but let's do it. Look at that. Ye and especially Hitler are trending right now. Let me play this clip.
Do I round up Jews in Nazi Germany? Do I get love then? Schwarzenegger said he loved Hitler. They gave him an award. I'm just saying, I don't like Nazis, and I don't like what some of the mafias are doing either.
I like Hitler.
In his mask, right before they went to break, Ye said that he liked Hitler. Let's play some more clips. Here we go. Happening now. Kanye West tells Alex Jones that he sees good things about Hitler also. Let's play this. You know, I understand YouTube's going to get mad, but we'll play.
You don't deserve to be called that and demonized.
Well, I see good things about Hitler also. I love everyone, and Jewish people are not going to tell me you can love us, and you can love what we're doing to you with the contracts, and you can love what we're pushing with the pornography. But this guy that invented highways, invented the very microphone that I use as a musician. You can't say out loud that this person ever did anything good, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. How about that one? Ari Emanuel, how you like that one? Hey, Ron, you gonna do anything to fix Chicago? They want to separate and confuse the Christians and make us afraid to stand next to each other. A Christian can stand next to anyone. We can go visit R. Kelly in prison. We can go talk to Harvey Weinstein.
That's what Jesus did.
Yes, because Jesus can save everyone. But if the Zionists can get us so afraid that they're going to do what they've been doing to me, attempting to put me in jail, freeze my accounts, smearing me on the media, you know, all of these things, you know, you put on the whole armor of God and they will not be able to break your spirit.
Well, that's right.
So there's a lot more to show, but I'm not convinced I believe what he's saying. It may be that he's mentally ill. A lot of people have said it. Fine. I'm not gonna pretend to know. What I can say is he's got a lot of money, a ton of money. He says they're freezing his accounts. He's able to summon a last minute private jet, which gives me pause. So when he left the show on Monday, within a couple hours, he had a private jet waiting at Frederick Airport with paparazzi filming. And so, you know, the question is like, how does that? I got to tell you, man, a DC to LA flight, that's hefty, especially a last minute call. It's expensive stuff. Dude clearly is very, very wealthy, well off, has FU money and can say whatever he wants. Let's be real people. Every human has good things about them. And that's like, I don't even think it's a really controversial statement. What I mean to say is there is this trope about, yeah, we get it. Hitler liked dogs. We get it. The nuance of the conversation is typically stated. It seems like Ye doesn't understand that, as if he thinks anyone around him who is critical of his views on Jewish people, or apparently now Hitler, is somehow lying. When he left the show on Monday, he apparently said something to my brother that he wasn't going to let someone tell him what was true wasn't true. It would be like saying that Taylor Swift's video was better than Beyonce's, and like, okay. But I guess it was a reference to when he went up on stage with Taylor Swift or something like that. The thing is, when I was talking to Ye on the show, and he said, the press, X, Y, and Z, and I said, yes, they've been unfair. The press, they have. Who? Like white liberal women in New York who write these articles unprompted because there's no one telling them to do it. We didn't even get to that point, but they were saying that because he supported Trump, he was mentally ill. And I said, what? How does that make him mentally ill that he likes Trump? The same thing can be said about his views now. He has bad views, like opinions I think are bad. He's allowed to have his opinions. He's allowed to speak his opinions. But I don't know if that makes you crazy because you believe something that you read. A lot of people believe a lot of crazy things. The point is, Ye was unwilling to have this conversation on the air. Now, the reason I don't trust it and have stated ad nauseum, apologies, I know, that I thought it was a setup was because we were talking before the show about exactly this. And on Alex Jones's show, Alex Jones has said 10 times more than I've even had a chance to say, saying that he doesn't like Nazis. He doesn't agree with the statements about Jewish people. He doesn't want to blame them. He thinks it's wrong. And Ye's sitting there like, yep. So it just seems performative. But I can't tell you what the real issue is. Maybe, as people mentioned, he's bipolar. And so getting up and leaving, it's just you can't control him. You don't know what he's going to say. So I want to point something out. I mean, I get it. It's just Wikipedia. But the reason I know that Hitler didn't invent the microphone is because the microphone predated the life of the man. I've read a little bit in my life about how microphones work because, I'm really interested in microphones, speakers, tech. I play music, play guitar. I'm not going to pretend to be anywhere near an expert on any of this stuff. But, I'm like, wait, wasn't the microphone invented in like the mid 1800s or something? Like rudimentary. And so they mentioned in 1923, the ribbon microphone was introduced, electromagnetic type, but the microphone had been around for a while. So I would only say this. What do you mean, Ye? Do you mean that he had someone develop an advanced microphone? They already existed. Fine. But I think the important distinction here is we're talking about the nuance of humanity. And that is when people say like Hitler liked dogs and you like dogs, and they try and say that those things that are like typical human behavior equate you with a very, very bad person. You get the point I'm trying to make? It is entirely likely. I'm sorry. The other example is Mussolini made the trains run on time. It's a point to be made that we understand in these conversations that humans have varying degrees of good and bad within them. But overwhelmingly, the point is, yeah, the Nazis were extremely bad. They were an emergent political faction in Germany that were totalitarian, that took over, that subverted the will of the people, and then started doing horrific things to a whole bunch of other people, started invading countries. There's nothing redeeming about this. You can't come out and say something like, well, I understand that they did make the trains run on time. They liked dogs. They were vegetarians and Christian and all that other stuff. And it's like, bro, there are murderers throughout history that may have provided charity at some point in some time. I think it's fair to point out like the intricacies and nuances of human behavior. But we are highlighting the bad on purpose because as we advance through history, we want the bad to go away. We want the good to remain. So when some people do overwhelmingly atrocious things, that becomes the point. That being said, when Ye wants to talk about how the media is full of it and stuff like that, I'm not going to disagree. Stalin did such awful things. The communists killed so many people. And yet there is a heavy focus specifically on the Nazis. There were a lot of really bad people throughout history. I don't understand why Ye then thinks he can come out and say things, perhaps, I don't know. I think it may just be that he genuinely doesn't understand and that he doesn't want to listen. Because if he actually sat down for 2 more seconds when I was sitting there and I was trying to make a point about in New York City, the people who write these stories don't have someone come to them and say, write it up. Sometimes there are morning editorial meetings. Often they'll start writing a story of their own volition. They tend to be white. They tend to be women. I am not saying all white people or all women are responsible for this. I'm saying that's the demographic that is being unfair. The woke corporate press tends to be run by white liberal women. That's the thing. So if you want to point out that he made a reference to Jon Stewart, that Jewish people are in Hollywood a lot. I even mentioned this on the show. Dave Chappelle made the point. I mentioned him before and he wasn't seemingly mad about it. But let me show you more of what happened. So this Aspersion caster says people can stop with the whole Kanye's not crazy. He's just trying to get at his contracts thing. Okay, here we go.
They are going to have to listen up. What we did is we brought Netanyahu with us.
I'm in the twilight zone right now.
It's a Yoohoo Bottle chocolate drink.
Netanyahu.
And a fish
What do you have to say? What do you have to say to Alex Jones right now, Nick Fuentes and Ye? It was bad. It was bad for Trump to meet with Nick and Ye. Okay. I had no idea your voice is going to sound like that, Netanyahu.
So you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu?
I just heard about this guy 2 weeks ago since like the tweet, and I thought he had a funny name. I heard he's like really into like, he's like a super killer. I could die for saying this. So in case this the last time you ever hear from me.
Well,
I don't know what the dude's doing, but I'll stress it again. We have this tweet from Alejandra Caraballo. Mental illness is absolutely no excuse for anti-Semitism, but Kanye is clearly having a psychotic break from reality. There needs to be some sort of intervention. This is so disturbing, even Alex Jones seemed concerned. I'll play this next clip for you.
No, so you call him Yahoo, but we're gonna call him Netin. What you want, Netin? Hey, yeah, right after this, I'm gonna say you're crazy. I'm gonna take your family away from you. We're not done with you yet. You cannot cause free thought. We have to control the history books. We have to control the banks, and we have to go and kill people. Also, you're in the pedophilia.
so, and in a little while, hopefully you're going to take the mask off because is this actually Ye here?
So the mask thing, and we'll start addressing as much as we can. Ye wears his mask. It is the mask he is typically seen wearing going back to earlier this year. And 2012, I believe, they say it goes back to 2012 during a live performance donning a Balenciaga mask. All I can tell you guys is, how is this real life? I don't want to come off like I know everything. I don't want to assert myself as some authority having all of the knowledge or anything like that. Comment, let me know what you think. This is a crazy subject. I don't know what's going on or why. I think Alex Jones having this interview was a very good thing because now everybody can see it and make their decisions for themselves. I also want to stress the immediate reaction to what is clearly a performer doing a performance, albeit he's saying things that people find highly offensive, is to say that he's crazy. But tell me why you think he's crazy. He believes things that I think are just not true. The microphone's been around was around longer than Hitler. Being wrong doesn't mean you're crazy. He's wearing a mask, a puffy jacket, gloves, while having a net and doing something weird. Why does that imply that he is crazy? Is it because he's doing something that you don't see as normal or in line with acceptable social values? You see what I mean? So sure, call it whatever you want. I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers. I'm only going to highlight that it happened, right? Kanye is too funny. And then an interesting point here. This Twitter account is Turbo Thad. He says, quote, "The fact that I still have $400 million and Forbes couldn't touch it shows God loves me. He just had to set me back a bit." Kanye says as his relationship was failing, he found himself drinking, smoking, having threesomes at New Year's Eve parties. Okay. Maybe it's something to do with Kim Kardashian and their kids or something like that. We have this story from BuzzFeed News because Balenciaga is... I think we got to talk about Balenciaga and how it relates to what's going on with Ye's life. He's on Alex Jones wearing a Balenciaga mask. It is described by many people as a gimp mask, like BDSM gear. BuzzFeed News. Oh, okay. Let's read. They say the campaign promoted Balenciaga's Spring/Summer 2023 collection. It went viral on Twitter after people noticed it featured two young children posing with teddy bears dressed in BDSM-style harnesses. The brand Balenciaga just did an interesting photo shoot for their new products recently, which included a very purposefully poorly hidden court document about virtual child. Let's just call it photographic exploitation. And I believe this is, it says via Shoe on Head on Twitter. They cropped Shoe on Head out. That's so weird. So many of you are familiar with this. Balenciaga issued a very serious apology. The company later shared a second story addressing the court documents featured in the campaign, saying, "We apologize for displaying unsettling documents in our campaign. We take this matter very seriously and are taking legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set and including unapproved items in our Spring 23 campaign photo shoot. We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form." Interesting. Elon Musk, of course, is a component of this story. When the right started highlighting this, the Balenciaga panicked and took it down. But when Jack Dorsey was the CEO and Vijaya Gadde was in charge, child exploitation ran rampant on the platform. Elon Musk comes in, takes it down, and then, all of a sudden, cancel culture is going the other direction. It's all very, very weird. They say in the days since Balenciaga statements were released, several fans have been awaiting comment from Kim Kardashian, who is one of the biggest faces of the brand. And on Sunday, November 28th, Kim finally addressed the controversy on her Twitter page and Instagram stories, revealing she'd taken the time to talk to Balenciaga team before speaking out publicly. Now, I'm wondering, they mentioned that Ye also addressed it. So let's scroll down. They say, Kim's statement comes just a day after Kanye West, who has become a right-wing political commentator, has he, addressed the controversy himself and called out celebrities for largely remaining silent on the topic. "Nobody is talking about the Balenciaga situation," said Ye, who was interestingly the one who introduced Kim to Balenciaga's creative director, Demna Vasalia. "This just shows you all of these celebrities out here. Don't let them influence you in any way because they in turn are controlled by people who really influence the world," he added. Of course, we know what he means by that, so sure. Balenciaga did some really creepy stuff. The Epstein stuff is all basically confirmed. Ghislaine Maxwell's convicted. These are questions that need to be brought up. Why would Ye then wear the Balenciaga mask on this show? Chalk it up to him being crazy. If you want, fine. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I have no idea. Consider it. Tell me what you think. I don't know, man. For the people who think that I do any more than comment on the news, I've never said that about myself. I said I'm a guy who complains on the internet. Somehow there are people who are commenting mad at me because they think I'm something more. Whatever. It is what it is. And I'll be honest with you guys, man. It's not fun. It really isn't. I don't know. I've talked about it before about, at what point is it just too much? But I'm genuinely worried about where this country goes with the child exploitation, with the suppression of speech, with the rise of this Chinese-style communist garbage in this country. And so, I'm driven to keep talking about it. And there are people who listen. But there's always going to be people who attack, who don't like you, who want something else. And it is what it is, Sometimes it just really would be easier to live in a van down by the river, playing video games. I'd probably play World of Warcraft, and I'd mind my own business. There's that old saying, that old quote, better to, what is it? I'm probably getting it wrong, but it's like better to be a poor farmer than to meddle into the politics of man or something like that. And at the same time, there's another quote that the penalty for refusing to be engaged in politics is to be ruled by your inferiors. Tough questions. Very serious questions that I think about every day when it comes to stuff like this. This is one heck of a news cycle. As an aside, I'll mention that Laura Loomer, who's Jewish, also appeared on the show, so that's important context, I suppose. Right now, you've got Republicans sort of reeling. House Judiciary Committee Republicans delete Kanye Elon Trump tweet. Finally, a lot of people were pointing out they didn't. And now we have Vox, the deep roots of anti-Semitism's resurgence in America. I understand what Ye is trying to say. And there's a lot of people who are acting like, look, mentioning like Dave Chappelle did, like we've talked about. Dave Chappelle made the joke where he says you go to Hollywood and there's a lot of Jewish people, like a lot. The ADL said it was anti-Semitic. I don't think Dave Chappelle cares. Yeah, we get it. Of course. There are, I worked for Fusion. The people who ran the company were Jewish. They were very nice people. My question in response, though, is I understand you're saying that, but what does that have to do with their agenda? There are tech billionaires. There are high-profile individuals who are also Jewish who are doing the exact opposite. So that's what I genuinely don't understand and doesn't get answered for me. Ye says you can't say who they are. Well, you can. But like saying Jewish doesn't answer any questions for me. I would appreciate you elaborating and explaining why you think it does. But when like Michael Malice, an anarchist who is Jewish, is fighting for free speech, when there are tech investors who are Jewish, who are funding free speech and pushing back and don't want financial censorship and banks being and shutting you down, you then think that descriptor explains why. But it doesn't for me. It would be like saying tall people are after me. I'm like, is that a motivating factor? Alex Jones on his show with Ye said he doesn't think it's actually Jewish people. It's people who are saying they are. And Ye said he agreed. I just find the whole thing weird. I don't quite understand. I don't know what all this is. But I'll tell you, there are people who would point out, I've been mentioning mo money, mo problems. And a lot of people seem to think, it's just not true or it's wrong. When I was younger, it takes perspective. When I was younger, I remember hearing that quote, the only thing that I know is that I know nothing. And, or true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. And I'm younger. I'm like, that's so dumb. You can know things. You can be smart. You can be knowledgeable. And it's only when I get older, I start to realize like I truly understand, or at least I understand more what it means about knowing nothing. Because it is all just faith. People believing that something is true and having faith in it. When it comes to this idea of whether it's better to be in one place or another, you think about why bands break up, why people don't want to do this, why it is that Ye is saying what he's saying and just going off. Because he believes things. And he gets criticism and he gets yelled at when he does say these things that he believes. I didn't bring him on my show. And I said this. I said, I'm not here to finger wag. But I was like, we literally couldn't even have a conversation on the air, which was strange because we had that conversation before the cameras turned on. And it was fine. But then the cameras turned on and he acts very differently. Okay, fine, whatever. You call it whatever you want. Bipolar, I don't know. So he gets mad. He speaks out. That I get. I don't know if it's the world that he wants to live in, he likes living in. It must be lonely at the top. But that's who he is, I guess. But I will tell you this. Not everybody is fit for it. Not everybody wants it. And I do think most people will come to regret it if they ever do get it. There is something so nice about just being left alone that you will never have when you build up a YouTube channel, when you get more and more attention. Clout chasers, backstabbers, betrayers and mutineers, everyone just trying to destroy you. And then you make a decision. Do you just say whatever it is you want to say? For that, I respect that element of who Ye is. He's doing it. He's all right, I guess. And I disagree. And I'm glad what he is saying is being said so that people can decide for themselves what they think about him, the people who he works with, and his ideas. And if you can't challenge those ideas, then your ideas are bad. Either he didn't explain them to me, or in my view, he could not actually challenge them. But I digress. Man, it's a brutal week after Thanksgiving. You spend time with family. You know, I do at least. Take a few days off. And I got to be honest, the family stuff was good. The rest, miserable. I like working. I like speaking out. I like challenging things that I think are wrong or right. But it is hard. And I welcome anybody who thinks it's not to try it. The sword of Damocles, as the old story goes. The man desperately wanted to be king, and the king put him in the chair and had a sword hang above his head, held up by a single hair of a horse's tail. And he said, why? And he's like, because that's what it's like being on top. I don't think I'm on top. I don't think I'm at the top of the mountain. I don't think I'm, anywhere near Ye or whatever. Some people are like, Tim can't punch above his weight class, bro. I'm not asserting that I could. I'm a guy who complains on the internet. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, man. That's just what it's always going to be. But I believe in building culture. I believe in meritocracy. I believe in people having the ability to have conversations. In 2018, when Twitter started banning the alt-right, I spoke up against it, saying they have bad opinions. I get it, but let them their platform. Otherwise, they work behind the scenes. You don't have no idea. Let sunlight be that disinfectant. So that's why I do what I do. But I think it's fair to point out that Timcast has grown to a certain level. Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it absolutely shouldn't. Because it is the more you step into the fray, the more you put yourself in the center of that battlefield, the worse it gets. And I was talking about this last night, that it's a yin-yang thing. There's a balance. You are not allowed to have great access and privilege without great torment and conflict. That will always come with it. Mo money, mo problems is true as it can be. And so while I can boast that we're building things, we're hiring people, there are so many people who beg to come on the show, and I wish we could help everybody. There are many people who think that I can give them something. Certainly must be 100 million times worse for people like Joe Rogan. I'd rather just live in a van down by the river. I can't give you anything. I can't do anything for you. I don't want the power. I don't want to be in that position, but I like talking. And with the work, the perseverance, and the communication, this stuff all comes along with it. So what do? As access and influence and all that stuff grows and the show gets bigger, so does the conflict, crisis, and turmoil that comes, that surrounds you. And I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather my problem be, scraping quarters off the ground to figure out what I'm going to eat today and just not having to worry about the troubles and the politics of man, than to have to worry about which former friend or family member is trying to put a knife in my back today, or which person is going to come out now and just try and mercilessly attack me from my life for some kind of weird political benefit. It's just so crazy. It is not easy. I can't imagine what it must be like for Ye. So I'll agree with him on that. Preach love. He's allowed to believe what he wants to believe. I'm allowed to believe what I believe and disagree with him and think that he's saying things that I think, make people feel bad. I'm not saying he shouldn't be. I'm not saying he should be silenced. I'm not saying people, or deserve anything for being hurt. I'm not saying any of that. That's why we invite the three of them on the show to express themselves, and we can challenge those ideas and have that conversation. Didn't happen, I guess. But people will hate you. They'll hate Ye. Some people will like him. He chooses who he wants to be around. Me? I'd rather be around, for the most part, nobody. I don't care for the right, for the left, for whatever. I care about what is true, and I care about what is right. My vision of what is good is humans having better lives, having families, having freedom, finding that decentralization of power that allows humanity to flourish, to colonize the stars, seek to stop the tyrants. And that means conversations. It means honesty. It means difficult facts. It means hard truths. And it is what it is. I don't know what else to say other than, as I've said before, I said it several times a year, from Rogan's show to my show, it is infinitely easier to not be involved in any of this. And there are many people who would prefer that of me. There are many people who hate my guts, hate what I have to say, and would prefer that I simply just go away. And you know what? I don't completely disagree. I, too, would like to not be involved. But it feels like there's no option. It feels like there's no choice. It feels like when I get up and read the news and I see these stories, there is no choice. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I do not feel like it is an option to do anything other than what it is that I am doing, despite all of the insanity. And so I wonder, as Ye mentions that he's got God on his side and God set him back a little bit, I feel those things. And I wonder, with all of the backstabbers, the betrayers, and the mutineers, these are just challenges that are set on all sides that must be overcome and you must persevere through. Because it is not an option to simply do nothing in the face of tyranny and the destruction of this country and humanity. Elon Musk said that the woke mind virus is driving humanity to suicide, and he's correct. And I may not have all the answers, and I may not be right or perfect, but I believe the worst thing to do, the most pain, would be sitting around and doing nothing. Thanks for hanging out. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tonight. Should be interesting at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Timcast IRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.